I believe that the vegan diet is a psyop. I believe it is contributing to the modern decline of testosterone, essentially a castration of modern men. It's turning men into religious fanatics who are trying to convince everyone around them that eating a deficient diet will save the world and it somehow makes them better than everyone else. So let me start a bit with my own story. I was a vegetarian for 7 years. 7 years, no meat. Okay, I had fish like a few times during that period, but for the most part, no meat for 7 years. I'm 6'1". I weighed about 130 to 135 pounds. I was very underweight. I was skin and bones. I even tried raw vegan where I lost even more weight. I went down to 125 pounds. I looked like I was starving to death. Literally, I've seen pictures of myself from that period. I looked like I shouldn't be alive. I looked like a walking skeleton. And I was convinced that I was the healthiest I'd ever been. You know, I would go like jogging. I'm like this running human skeleton. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm the healthiest. I have the most energy I've ever had. Then I started eating cooked foods again and was like, what the fuck was I doing? I was wasting away. It was rough. In 2019, I went vegan for like 4 months or so. And the first month, I was feeling great, you know, because it's definitely a strong cleansing of your body. Eating tons of fiber, it's cleansing things from your body. I was pooping like crazy. I had some serious gas, that's for sure. And about month 3 or 4, I remember I was living in Bali at the time. I was eating organic tofu every day. And one day, my girlfriend walks out of the shower. She's naked. I look at her body and I'm looking at this, you know, gorgeous, attractive, feminine, naked body. And I felt zero sexual desire. Zero sexual desire. And in that moment, I said to myself, something is seriously wrong here. This is not me. I had low libido. And at this time, I started eating meats again. And very quickly, my libido returned, my energy levels improved, everything felt better. I've been working out at the gym since 2016. And when I was mostly plant-based, I really struggled to put on muscle. You know, I was grinding in the gym. I was doing 4 workouts a week. Wasn't putting on much muscle. And I was accumulating body fat. I mean, you can look at my videos from, well, 2 years ago. I was a little bulky, not in a good way. And once I started eating mostly animal protein, for my calories, more saturated fats, I actually started burning fat. Of course, you know, managing my macros as well, but I started putting on muscle like I never had before. I started burning fat. My physiology changed. My hormone levels dramatically improved as well. So I had low libido in my vegan days in 2019. And then it was about, I think 2 years ago or so, I started having libido issues again as well. That was due partially to toxicity, which I've talked about in my detox video, but I think another factor was that I was not getting enough saturated fat in my diet. Once I started hitting the meat hard, hitting the saturated fats hard, my libido skyrocketed, my testosterone levels very solid. So that's my own experience. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control course to the link in the video description below. So let me break down some of the things of like why I believe the vegan diet is harmful. One of the problems here is in a plant-based diet is the amount of phytic acid that you are consuming. Phytic acid it's in many plants, and it's essentially there's speculation as to why they have it. One claim is that it's essentially a defense chemical. One of the big arguments vegans have is that, well, you're killing animals, you're slaughtering, you shouldn't have to slit something's throat to survive. It's like, okay, well, what are you doing to plants? You're fucking slitting their throats, you're killing them. They're just as alive, they're just as conscious, they feel pain just as animals do. They have a nervous system as well, it's just different. So, and we don't relate to it as much, so, So plants, they want to live. They don't want to be killed and eaten for food either. And so they create these defense chemicals. One of them is phytic acid. So phytic acid actually it essentially chelates to minerals. It binds to nutrients and prevents your body from absorbing them. So essentially what happens is, technically, yes, you're eating these plants that have all these amazing nutrients and minerals in them, but unfortunately they also have phytic acid, which prevents your body from absorbing these nutrients. So they go right out of you, goes in and out. You don't get that, which is one reason why so many people on the vegan diet end up with joint issues. Their bones become very brittle and easily broken, osteoporosis, because they literally are not getting any minerals. You're going through kale by the pound, but your body's not able to absorb it because of the phytic acid. And certain plants are higher in phytic acid than others, but in general, when everything you're eating is filled with phytic acid, you can be assured that you are not getting nutrients. Let's talk about saturated fats. This is it's been a bit of a triggering topic for sure. I've been sharing a lot more of this on my channel, but it's very obvious to me that saturated fats equal life. Here's the narrative. Saturated fats and cholesterol clog your arteries, create arterial plaque. You have poor circulation, you won't get erections, and you have heart attacks. They cause heart disease. Okay, let's look at this. My ancestors, most of our ancestors, they thrived on saturated fats, which, is usually animal fat, right? They thrived on saturated fats for thousands of years. The amount of heart issues and circulatory issues humanity has now is unprecedented. What were some other major changes that happened around this time? All of a sudden, saturated fats and animal protein became demonized. Seed oils became promoted as heart healthy, canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil. This stuff is garbage, complete garbage, overly refined, often treated with toxic chemicals. It is terrible. It just literally destroys the cells of your body. So here's the thing. Saturated fats are stable fats, essentially. Your cell membranes are lined with fats, essentially. And if you're feeding them with unstable fats, which is what monounsaturated and trans fats are, they're unstable fats. Well, guess what that makes for you? Unstable cells, which leads to all kinds of issues. I mean, physically, I can't put seed oil in my body. It makes me feel sick. I was wondering why whenever I went out to eat, even though I was technically eating this healthy food, I felt like shit afterwards. I had this like mucusy, my body was releasing like this mucusy film in my throat, my sinuses, and it just felt horrible. Well, that was coming from seed oils, I learned, because even some of the highest grade restaurants, they cook their food in seed oil. Seed oils are one of the most toxic things you can put in your body, in my opinion. So saturated fats are essentially the building blocks of your cells, and they are also essential for, guess what? Hormones, testosterone, cholesterol as well. Cholesterol is literally a precursor to hormones. You can't create them. I know one of the vegan things is, oh, well, your body creates all the cholesterol it needs. Well, my sure fucking didn't, because I had no testosterone when I was on the vegan diet. I felt weak. I felt over emotional. I had little drive. I'm a very experiential type of person, because here's the thing. The scientific studies come from those with the funding. Who has the funding? The major corporations. They have an agenda. You know, if I had billions of dollars, I could pay a group of scientists to do some scientific tests that resulted in favor of my agenda. Follow the money. It's as simple as that. And one of the other common arguments is that our body can't handle animal protein. I remember a good friend of mine, he's a hippie for sure, told me one time that the body can only digest 4 ounces of meat at a time. And so for years, I had this in my mind, like, I can only ever eat 4 ounces of meat. If I ever ate more, I was like, oh my God, like, oh, it's gonna give me cancer in my intestines. Guess what? I will very often eat half a pound of meat or more per meal. Now, recently I've been eating over a pound of grass-fed beef, 6 eggs every day, plus copious amounts of butter. By the standards of the narrative, I should be really fucking unhealthy. I should be like obese. I should have clogged arteries, poor circulation. I should be like, you know, ready to drop dead at any time from a heart attack. Well, guess what? I've never felt healthier. My erections are better than ever. My testosterone is the best it's been since I was like 18 years old. My athletic performance and recovery has never been better. Again, I'm experiential. What do you do? What do you do? I felt like shit when I was on vegan diet. And I know the things people always say, the vegans always want to give me advice. Well, it's because you didn't do this wrong. You didn't supplement B12. Yes, I did. You didn't supplement iron. Yes, I did. Well, you didn't eat enough fruit. I ate a fuckload of fruit, bro. I lived off fruit at one point. I did it all. I tried it all. Here's my other argument. If you're not getting the nutrients you need from your diet, if you have to take these laboratory-made supplements that your body still may not be able to digest, clearly that diet is not very well suited for you. Pasture-raised meats, there's a huge difference between pasture-raised and farm-raised meats. I agree that farm factory-raised meats are terrible. You should not eat them. They are unhealthy, tortured, sick animals raised in very cruel conditions. I think it's fucked up. I am against factory farm meats, 100%. What's the alternative? Regenerative farming. If this whole climate change narrative is legitimate, not just another psyop, you know, I think there's some truth to it, and I think there's a lot of bullshit to it as well. The whole thing is lower the greenhouse gases, right? If every farm on the planet was doing regenerative farming instead of monocropping, the roots of the plants, because the problem with monocropping is they till the soil, it's releasing all the carbon into the air, floats up to the atmosphere, if that's true, right? With regenerative farming, you're not tilling. You essentially have forests of food around the planet. It wouldn't matter how many fossil fuels we're burning, because those roots can digest, so to speak, all the carbon in the atmosphere. Problem solved. Obviously, we're not seeing that happen, so it makes you wonder what else the agenda is. Coming back to the story here. I've been digging a lot into my ancestry. You know, I'm Northern European, I have a lot of Scandinavian. I got Viking blood, baby. My ancestors did not live off of refined carbohydrates and sugars and beyond meat and pea protein isolate. They were hunters and warriors. They ate meat. They ate dairy. They had some vegetables, some other things, you know, but their prized meal was meat. Because guess what the most nutrient-rich food is? It's not fucking kale, that's for damn sure. It's not hummus, it's not sprouts. Pasture-raised meats, baby. Loaded with minerals, loaded with nutrients. Beef liver, it's a superfood. I have to say, it felt wrong for me to start cooking up a pound of grass-fed beef, putting some butter on it, putting some raw cheese on it, and eating that. It felt like, this is supposed to be harmful for me, killing me. But guess what? I felt fucking awesome when I started eating that way. And again, you can look back to my videos from a few years ago. I was much more agreeable, much more quiet, and you know, well, I don't want to upset anyone. I don't give a fuck now, bro, because I have energy. I'm not deficient. I have testosterone. I'm not afraid to be myself. I'm not afraid to piss people off ultimately, which is a great skill to have, I would say. To be a real person, you have to piss people off. Otherwise, you're just wearing a mask and just, I just want to make everyone happy. Fuck that. I'm here to be real. If you don't like it, that's fine. And again, historically, it was the warriors, it was the hunters, and the elite in control that ate meat. Whereas the peasants, who were usually the enslaved population, which is modern days, they ate grains, they ate bread and some vegetables. Nothing's changed. My friends, nothing has changed. But the good thing is we have the capabilities to consume whatever types of food we want. Yes, it's more expensive. This is the thing. It's been designed to be this way because what's cheap and easy to purchase is what is literally killing you. This is the GMO, genetically modified, no nutrients in it, laced with glyphosate, pesticides. It's killing you. It's killing you slowly over time. It is literally chemically castrating you. What do? Learn to make more money and buy quality foods. One of my main motivations for getting my financial shit together was because I wanted to be able to eat healthy foods. I knew if I didn't eat healthy, organic, quality foods, then I would end up paying hospital bills anyway. So it's like, you want to invest in your health now, or do you want to pay hospital bills later? It's your choice. So basically, the vegan diet's been very, very strongly promoted. I mean, we have all these major figures promoting, veganism and all these meat alternatives and all this weird shit. Like the Impossible Burger, Beyond Meat, for example, there's no nutrients in it. There's no nutrients. Oh, well, it's got lots of protein. Yeah, shitty protein isolate. It was made in a laboratory. If you're eating these fake meats made in a laboratory, you are not eating food. You are eating seed oils. A lot of them are glyphosate ridden, which is destroying you, tanking your hormones. It isn't right. Because the controllers of this planet have an agenda. And again, I've talked about this many times, but it's nothing personal. It's just like, I've said this before, people castrate their pets. If you have a male pet, you castrate it. One of the reasons is because it makes it a lot more docile. It's not so aggressive and it's easy to control. Same thing with you're controlling a population. What do? Well, how can we keep them in line the most? Well, just castrate them, Well, how do we castrate them? So without them knowing it, right? Well, we poison their food supply. Let's convince them that meats cause cancer and clog up their arteries. These peasants will never know. That's what it is. It's a fucking psyop. I mean, you look at the average vegan, and I'm not trying to personally attack the vegans who are probably watching this. I have nothing personal against you. It's just I see patterns, right? I went through this myself, and this is one of the most fanatical group of people you will ever come across. There's a joke that's, how do you know someone's vegan? Well, they'll tell you within the first 5 seconds, and I found it to be true. The danger in this is that it's essentially a religion. It really is a religion. It's information with an emotional nature. It's emotionally triggering. It's like, well, you're killing animals, so if you don't eat plants, that's the only way you're a good person. Otherwise, you're killing the planet. And just all this complete bullshit. I'll get more into that. And I understand. Like, I would have loved to have been able to eat off nothing but plants and feel satiated, to feel yes. But guess what? I didn't feel satiated. I was fucking craving meat. 3 months in, craving meat. What do? You gotta listen to your body at some point, right? They literally created meat replacements because they're craving meat. But it just doesn't scratch that itch, does it? No, because guess what? Your body wants to eat meat. People often point to, well, did you watch the Game Changers documentary? Look who put the documentary together. James Cameron was a big player there. Look into what he's invested in. Look into the fact that he owns companies that are, selling pea protein, things like that. So coming back to this thing of like, if you have the money, you can scientifically prove anything. One of the claims in that documentary was that, oh, look how much the erections improved from 1 day of plant-based eating. Complete fucking bullshit. I had way better erections eating actually the majority of my calories from animal products than when I was 100% plant-based. My erections went to shit. One of the arguments is that the vegan diet is going to save the planet because, raising animals is destroying the environment. Yes, factory-raised farm, as I said before, it is a terrible thing and it should be eliminated. But the answer is not only eating plants. Guess what? Most major agricultural companies, if a company is not practicing regenerative farming, they are contributing to the destruction of the environment. So guess what? Eating Impossible Burger, eating Beyond Meat, you are supporting a company that has killed more animals than someone who's eating regenerative farm meats who eats about one cow per year. As a vegan, you could be contributing to killing more animals than, as someone buying and supporting regenerative farming, which is again, the only possible hope for us having food in our future on this planet. So unfortunately, you're not contributing to saving the planet. You are actually buying into a control system that is eradicating mankind overall, castrating them. Something to think about. Okay, one other thing I want to mention here is there's this thing of there's these fad vegan influencers, right? I'm not going to mention names, but we've seen them, the guys who are, they're fucking jacked, they're huge, and they're like, oh, I'm 100% plant-based, bro, built on pea protein, built on soy. It's like, Okay, yeah, you're built on pea protein as much as Liver King was built on liver. It's how it is. It's how the industry works. These guys take fucking steroids, they turn into monsters, and they sell their supplements pretending like that's what did it. It's basic marketing. You know what I mean? And whatever, it's okay. It's a bit misleading, right? Which brings another point here in that when you're plant-based, to get enough protein, you have to supplement. Unless you're gonna eat like pounds of beans every day, which is, again, loaded with phytic acid, would wreck my digestive system. You have to supplement with isolated proteins. Soy protein, horrible, horrible. Soy is the worst thing, in my opinion, you can put in your body. So GMO'd, so loaded with glyphosate. I mean, even a lot of the quote unquote organic soy it's GMO'd beyond recognition. It's fucked. It's tainted, it's contaminated. Pea protein, a lot of time these plant protein isolates have high amounts of heavy metals, even things like arsenic in them. So they're not very clean. They have zero nutrients. It can actually throw off your blood sugar, just having isolated proteins. So here's the thing, you do whatever you want to do. I don't care if you want to be vegan, if you want to eat, whatever. I don't care. And, I could be wrong. It's possible I'm wrong. Maybe in 2 years, I'm going to be a fanatical fruitarian telling you that your pineal gland is blocked because you're eating meat products instead of only fruit. Who knows? But right now, this is how I feel. And I've never felt more in my life than eating a diet based off of meat, baby. And I'm also open to the possibility that, the thing is that I think genetics play strongly into this as well. Again, I come from an ancestral line that were hunters. They lived off of animals. They lived off of animal products. I can digest dairy with no problem. I've actually been adding a lot more cheese into my diet, like raw cheese, quality stuff. I do fine. I do great. Supposedly I should be having like hormonal issues and clogged arteries, all this bullshit. No, I feel fucking awesome. But there's certain genetic groups who cannot process dairy. And maybe it's true that some genetic groups have a capability of digesting phytic acid, actually assimilating nutrients from plants. So that's a possibility, but I can tell you for 100% sure that is not me. Why not support my body? And here's the thing about like, yeah, you have to kill something. You shouldn't have to slit something's throat to survive. Well, coming back to this point, life force feeds on life force. We're in a realm of polarity. You have to eat something to survive. Unless you're a breatharian, you're still like technically killing microbes and stuff from the air you're breathing in, right? It's just inevitable. Plants feel pain just the same. Killing a plant ultimately is no different than killing an animal. It is what it is. Here's my philosophy on this though. I only buy pasture-raised, ideally regenerative farmed animals that were trained humanely. I live in an amazing place here in Asheville, North Carolina, where there's lots of regenerative farms. There's lots of farmers markets. I can go to the farm. I see, yeah, there's the cow that I'm gonna eat. It's living a happy life. I grew up on a farm. I know that animals raised in pasture environments, natural environments, they live virtually zero stress lives. They get to eat all the food they want. They get to have all the sex they want. They live luxury lives. I would rather be one of these animals than the average human being that lives a life of slavery, of emotional torment, that, getting poisoned by pharmaceuticals and laced foods to slowly die a torturous death at the end of their life. I would rather be a grass-fed cow that lives an amazing life than suddenly, boom, gets shot in the head, it's dead, eats the meat. Like, they don't suffer. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do? That's my philosophy. That's the Jonathan Wyatt philosophy, baby. Boom. So there you go. Let me know if you guys want me to drop more videos on going more into the psyop of the vegan diet, how this relates to, a lot of ultimately the psyop of the hippie movement and the war on true masculinity that began in the 1960s. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're a vegan, you made it this far, I salute you. Props to you for being able to see a different perspective, because that's the only way that I got through it personally. All right, guys, take care. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, and we'll see you next time.